Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Now today I'm going to be discussing all the reasons I think Marvel Rivals is absolutely going to come in and damage, hurt, kill Overwatch in a lot of ways with everything that I've seen so far and what is to come. Now I want to preface that I do not dislike Overwatch. I have thousands of hours in Overwatch. I've loved it ever since it came out and it is one of my most favorite games I've ever played. I say this genuinely because I have consumed so much time in the game, and the only reason I think even for a lot of us that we've veered away from Overwatch is from let's say the background work that has been done in the game, the additions of overpowered, underpowered characters, the lack of patches, and when there is a patch it is just way too overhauled. A new character comes in, it changes the game, and this is something that I've noticed why I think Marvel Rivals will actually do so much more than what people think compared to, you know, what Overwatch has brought to the table. Now, we're going to be going through different topics today. I'm going to be talking about graphics, Marvel's fan base compared to the Overwatch fan base, map design, updates and new heroes and what they've done so far, gameplay compared to Overwatch, the pro scene and what it could bring, the lore as well, and lack of sort of competition Overwatch has had. And I might start with that. Now, when Overwatch released in 2016, a lot of people were playing this game. Now, I think a lot of people were playing this game, one, because it looked hella cool, two, because it was Blizzard, so we sort of trusted that it was going to be amazing from the get-go, and there was nothing really like it in terms of how it felt, how it played, the payload structure. And if you go and sort of dive deep into games that are like Overwatch, there isn't many. You can compare games like Team Fortress 2 to Overwatch, which in itself is its own statement, not knocking Team Fortress 2, but when we really go, hey, what can I play instead of Overwatch, you really can't do much. I mean, if you search it up on Google, it'll tell you Valorant, League of Legends, I don't know how, and these really don't have the same feels. And I think what Blizzard did so well was they made a game that really didn't have a huge market already. Just imagine trying to bring out another MOBA and competing with Dota 2 and League of Legends. You're already in a market that is so vastly saturated. And I think this is why Marvel Rivals is going to do so well, because one, it's entering a market that has what we could say a stale game, being Overwatch, something that is being played over and over and over with a huge amount of negative ratings or negative reviews on it. And we can go into the deep dive of why that is, but I'm pretty sure if you're here, you know why. Vastly bad character updates or new characters being way too overpowered, a sort of stagnant period of time where nothing happens and you're just waiting for an overpowered hero to then be adjusted so you could play the game, and specifically meta. So we're talking about Overwatch having a certain formula of teams that you should play, or if you don't have that, then you're already at a disadvantage. And I think that was a key element that felt really bad about Overwatch. If you weren't playing specific characters, you were already at a disadvantage, especially even in the support role. Lately, for example, if I choose Lifeweaver, I'm already getting hate and toxic comments. Why are you playing Lifeweaver? You're throwing. Oh my god, why are you doing this? Rip all my Lifeweaver mains if any of you exist. And this is a core problem with Overwatch, and this is how I want to bring it back to Marvel Rivals. From what I've seen, and of course there is always a meta, there are always good and bad heroes, characters, there's always going to be that around. But I kind of feel like with Marvel Rivals, there is such a big element of a skilled player can truly redefine the game, whether they're in the damage role or duelist role, whether they're in the strategist role as a support, whatever it may be, a tank. I've seen so many big plays done by different roles, and in Overwatch, you can't just be a Lucio making massive plays. You can't just be that support player that has the ability to pure carry. There has to be some type of element of your DPS or your tank really combining with you, and then you you getting sort of like the value out of that. And this is what I love about what I've seen from Marvel Rivals. I think that the ability for me to pick Jeff on support and do this ultimate where I can eat people and throw them off the map, even though he may not be the strongest support in meta support, it's still so damn good. And we've already seen buffs to heroes in Marvel Rivals. Jeff is one of them, that they already know he's a bit weak and they're making him stronger. So this is already a positive with everything we've only seen in the limited gameplay we've had. You know, they've already started updating and balancing, adding new heroes and adding new maps. And one of the biggest things was that there wasn't enough maps. Well, guess what? They've brought in another 4. They've brought in another 6 heroes to join us on this campaign in a 6v6 hero PvP battler. And that is exactly what we want to see. Now, if I do say so, in my opinion, the graphics of Overwatch are really cool. I love when you're in the FPS sort of environment and you've got this fantasy style gun, whether it be Soldier 76 all the way up to a May Ice freeze gun. It's really cool, and I think that's where Overwatch excelled. Now, I think Marvel Rivals has a lot to do in terms of maybe the map, not design, but how it looks aesthetically, and also the vibe of it all. But still, it has this character about it. It has this hero-esque vibe to it that I love. It almost has a bit more of a casual feel to it, but still the ability to be very, very competitive. And that's why I think Marvel Rivals will succeed even more. Not only does it have this casual feel where a person who just loves Thor in the movies of Marvel wants to just come in and play Thor because they think it's fun, have a casual game. I think this is going to be a big selling point for Marvel Rivals, is the balance between competitive and also the casual gameplay, because in my opinion in Overwatch, you're only really there playing competitive. I don't think it ever was a huge casual based game, and even when they tried to bring the PvE out, they then cancelled it. So maybe that tells you a lot about the things that happened in the background, but that is all done in the past. But that's the reason why I think Marvel Rivals has the ability to take control of the market in this 6v6 PvP battle, but also the casual market in that as well, which is absolutely amazing. Now, to say something back about what I've said, to go back and say Marvel already has a fan base is absolutely huge. We've got comics, we've got TV shows, we then have movies that people already love and watch over and over. So if you're a gamer that's into Marvel already, you are basically already locking yourself in to at least try the game, and you definitely are trying if it is a free to play game, which it is. So this is a big plus, because from the Overwatch perspective, we didn't have Overwatch the TV show, Overwatch the movie, Overwatch the comic book. This is a big factor. This is basically already coming to a target audience that has a love for the characters and the design and everything behind it. So this is a big plus. And obviously, no matter what you do, if you have a pre-fan base from alternate ventures like movies and stuff, or different industries, it's going to be a big plus for the game. So that's something that's already going to bring in people from there. In regards to map design, I think that the maps do look cool. I don't know how we're going to go. I think over time we're really going to know how, if people really do like the destructive type of elements where the more you destruct things, destroy like buildings, walls, things change, and whether that can come off as a bit clunky and things happen where you get stuck. I think there'll be a lot of balancing and bug fixes on that type of thing, like closing walls off so people can't get through by dropping rubble down. They're going to have to monitor that very, very carefully, in my opinion, because there has already been things like that. But it does give the element of what an all-out battle is. When we go into this world and we watch the movies and, you know, things are happening in a big city or wherever it may be, these things are happening. Walls are getting destroyed, rubble is falling, chaos is happening all around. I do like that, but I'm curious to see how it goes. Now, I know we did touch on gameplay, but I also do think there is another factor that will push Marvel Rivals ahead. Now, in Overwatch, I feel like it is very, 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 very hard to be a solo lone warrior in this game. It truly does give the real name of 6v6 meaning everything. Like, you have to do everything as a team in Overwatch. It's very hard. You know, you're doing a Genji blade and you don't get the nano for some reason because your Ana wasn't there, or you didn't look back, or whatever it may be. All of a sudden things go downhill. But I feel like in Marvel Rivals, there is this element of, I can be Spider-Man and flank and actually do a lot of work. You know, these tracers that try and flank you, a lot of the time, if they aren't really good or you've just got better teamwork, that tracer becomes useless. And essentially, you're kind of playing a 5v6. But I feel like for Marvel Rivals, there's this ability to do so much work as a flanker, as a lone warrior type-esque player. You can do things from behind your tank, you can do things from the side, you can do things from the air as Iron Man, but you can actually inflict multi-kills, multi-damage, be hugely impactful for your team. And I love this about Marvel Rivals because I think this is where the high skill tier brackets will come in. Yes, it does revolve around sort of teamwork heavily, but we also then have huge ultimates from many different roles that do so much. As I was speaking about Jeff before, his ultimate used correctly can be truly crazy. If they were guarding the payload and they're on overtime, let's say, and you Jeff ulti and eat everyone up and just take them off the payload or whatever it may be, that is huge. And that's what I love about Marvel Rivals. I think that the abilities, including, or should I say, the ultimates, are game defining. Now, I remember back in Overwatch where the ultimates were so overtuned that people didn't like it because the ultimates was truly like sort of just, if you do this right, you're going to win the fight. Nothing else is going to be done about it. So it is a bit of a tug of war situation there. I want to see how badly affected will these ultimates make the gameplay feel. But for me personally, I love that any hero can really be a true captain of the team. So that is going to be interesting to see. Now, I'd most really want to talk about this in terms of later down the track, but I'm curious to see the pro and competitive scene for Marvel Rivals. And I think that, you know, we've already got Overwatch high tier pro grandmaster top 500 players saying how fun Marvel Rivals is, how good it is at top tier ranks, low tier ranks, whatever it may be. It's just a fun game. And if you're getting that message from pro players that are coming over from Overwatch, those signs are actually huge for the game. I think when it comes to the game feeling casual but competitive, but also having a huge skill gap on someone can just absolutely tear the game apart, is going to be very cool. And I know that's sort of a bland statement, but I feel like that's a huge part of Marvel Rivals. I think just in general, it being Marvel characters and having this cool feel to it is going to bring a lot of the younger age gamers as well in. I mean, this is why Fortnite was so successful. Fortnite brought in many different ages, kids that love that type of feel, you know, even kids at 7 years old were playing the game. Now, I'm not saying Marvel Rivals is going to have a bunch of 7-year-old players playing it, but I dare say that there's going to be young kids that are anywhere from 8 to 15 who want to play Captain America. They want to play the hero they love when they see it in the movies. Dad, Mum, can I please play this game? I want to install it. I want to play as Spider-Man. Now, this will obviously be balanced over the time and ranked, and those people that aren't that good will be in the lower ranks, blah, blah, blah. We know how it works. But this is also a great selling point for Marvel Rivals because you have this ability to attract multiple ages. And I don't think Overwatch had that. I felt like you couldn't really be an 8-year-old and jump into Overwatch and have a true amount of fun. And this is where the destroying buildings, and I think a kid will be like, whoa, this is cool. Even if I died, or I'm going, you know, 2 and 15, I'm just having so much fun. All right, so one thing I did want to talk about that I actually am concerned about with Marvel Rivals, and that's team team up abilities. Now, if you don't know what team up abilities are, essentially they are grouped factions or little mini teams throughout the game that if you do play with 2 or more of those characters in a match, you then get extra sort of passive abilities, which is cool. It is cool, I'm not going to lie, but I'm actually worried that certain team up abilities will be so overpowered that you kind of have to play them, and then that leads into kind of like an Overwatch thing where like you have to play a certain composition or maybe certain few characters in Overwatch to be at the strongest in the current meta. For example, with Loki and Hela, essentially if you have Loki and Hela together, then what happens, and they are on a like little team called the Ragnarok Rebirth. When Hela lands a final hit in defeating an enemy, she can instantly resurrect Loki in the respawn phase. So if Loki dies, essentially then Hela gets a kill, he will instantly come back, which is cool. Doesn't sound too overpowered, but that's one of the examples. Now, we do have more team up abilities coming through from Spider-Man and Squirrel Girl, Magic and Psylocke, Hawkeye, Black Widow together, Moon Knight and Cloak Dagger, Wolverine and Hulk, Iron Fist and Snow, and these are from the new heroes that are coming through that are going to release on the full release of the game. But going back to why I'm concerned with this is it's a cool feature, but again, if there's a certain team up abilities that are just way stronger than others, people are going to kind of need to play that, or else it's going to get really tough. Now, essentially what this also means is this kind of takes away a bit from the casual side of Marvel Rivals, and this becomes something that you'll need to actually learn to be at your best to understand the game and what could happen. Because if you don't know what team up abilities do during the game, you're then down on information and knowledge in the game, whereas someone who does know can expect something. So if the healer does get a kill and Loki is down, you're going to know that Loki's coming back straight away, certain things could happen, etc, etc. So this leans into more of you maybe having to study this stuff, but that is something I did want to touch on because team up abilities and this whole new sort of side ability faction will be really cool, but also it worries me a bit. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about updates and new heroes. 6 new heroes on release, 4 new maps on release, absolutely massive. Just to see that come through already, I think is just how crazy good it is for us to see that. It is going to be something where we know now the devs and the behind the scenes are doing everything they can to make this be a top tier 6v6 PvP hero based shooter. Now, obviously the difference between this and Overwatch is this is third person, Overwatch is first person. However, I think the third person looks hella cool. I think it's not going to make much of a difference. I think the third person also makes it more casual, but at the same time you get to see more. Your field of view is kind of like more wide, which is great. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Marvel Rivals is going to torch Overwatch? Do you think Overwatch is still going to stay around, hold steady, and Marvel Rivals will just be the competitor that sits there and actually doesn't do so well? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, comment. It is a brand new channel. Much more content for Marvel Rivals only will be coming out to this channel. So if you want to see things like tier lists, guides on certain characters, guides for maps, this is the place to be. Subscribe, get ready. So much more is on the way. Good luck and see you on the next one.